Xiao Fei, radiating a newfound power, hovered gracefully above the ground. Her delicate wings, shimmering with a jade-like brilliance, fluttered gently as she brought her hands together. Closing her eyes, she began to concentrate her energy. A vibrant green light enveloped her, intensifying with each passing second. Lu Fan watched her intently, his curiosity piqued by this unfamiliar display of power. Jian Ying, too, found herself captivated, her eyes widening in astonishment. Without warning, the earth beneath them trembled violently. The ominous rumble heralded the arrival of the boss spider mother. Its sharp, menacing claw tore through the ground, aiming directly at Jian Ying. The sudden attack caught her off guard, and she quickly turned to face the looming threat. Her heart pounded as she tried to comprehend the situation. The massive spider lunged at her and Lu Fan, exploiting their distraction. With reflexes honed by countless battles, Jian Ying and Lu Fan leaped into the air, narrowly avoiding the spider's deadly strike. The claw smashed into the ground, shattering it into countless fragments. As Jian Ying soared through the air, she noticed a peculiar phenomenon. 3 emeralds and 3 jade leaves materialized above her head, glowing with an otherworldly light. Confusion washed over her as she tried to make sense of this unexpected development. Unbeknownst to her, Xiao Fei's new ability, Jade Blessing, had been activated, bestowing her with the Jade Dragon aura. This powerful enchantment enhanced the damage of her next 3 attacks. As Jianing descended, determination replaced her initial confusion. She landed gracefully, her eyes fixed on the colossal spider. With a resolute expression, she extended her hand towards the beast. Her 3 swords, imbued with the Jade Dragon aura, shot forward with incredible speed. The blades struck the spider's exoskeleton with a resounding impact, penetrating its previously impenetrable armor. The force of the attack sent the spider reeling backward, its massive body crashing into the ground. Jianing stared at the spider, her eyes wide with astonishment. She could hardly believe the power of her enhanced attack. The swords had not only pierced the spider's silver armor, but had also inflicted significant damage. Behind Jian Ying stood Lu Fan and Xiao Fei. The latter had just undergone a remarkable transformation, reaching level 5 and gaining a new humanoid form. Lu Fan approached Xiao Fei, a smile playing on his lips. With one hand resting on his waist, he used the other to pat Xiao Fei's head gently. Xiao Fei closed her eyes, a soft groan of pleasure escaping her lips as she savored Lu Fan's affectionate gesture. Jian Ying, still reeling from the power she had unleashed, slightly turned her head back to glance at Xiao Fei. She couldn't help but marvel at the dragon's transformation. The Jade Blessing had not only increased her power but also imbued her attacks with the dragon attribute, exponentially enhancing their potency. This newfound strength was the reason her swords had pierced through the boss spider's previously impenetrable silver armor. The realization filled Jian Ying with a sense of awe and gratitude towards Xiao Fei. Lu Fan, observing Jian Ying's reaction, began to ponder the implications of Xiao Fei's abilities. With a serious expression, he looked to one side, deep in thought. The power of the Jade Blessing was undeniable, and the additional dragon attribute it conferred had proven to be a game-changer. He wondered what would happen if Xiao Fei applied this buff to Xiaoyi, the Black Dragon. The possibilities were tantalizing, and Lu Fan's mind raced with strategic considerations. However, their respite was short-lived. A sudden, ominous movement caught Lu Fan's attention. The boss spider, despite its grievous injuries, had reappeared. Its malevolent eyes glowed with a fierce determination as it opened its mouth to unleash a new attack. The air filled with a noxious scent as the spider used its poison pool ability, launching a spray of purple venom towards Lu Fan. This venom spray attack created a pool of poison on the ground, inflicting continuous toxin damage to any target within its area. Each layer of toxin could reduce a victim's life force by 5%, a deadly threat in their weakened state. Sensing the imminent danger, Lu Fan gathered his momentum and leaped into the air, narrowly avoiding the poisonous assault. The venom splashed harmlessly onto the ground where he had stood moments before. Xiao Fei, ever vigilant, took to the air as well, gracefully dodging the attack. Her wings beat rapidly, carrying her above the reach of the venomous pool. With a look of determination etched across his face, Lu Fan turned his head and called out to Xiao Fei. Xiao Fei, apply the Jade Blessing to Xiaoyi, he commanded, his voice resolute. Xiaoyi, who had been following closely behind Lu Fan, was already surrounded by powerful flames, her eyes burning with an intense, aggressive light. She seemed to sense the imminent threat, glaring menacingly at the boss spider for daring to harm her master. Responding to Lu Fan's command, Xiao Fei extended both hands to her sides, her wings spreading wide as she took to the air. She flew towards Xiao Yi, her movements graceful yet filled with purpose. Within moments, she reached Xiao Yi and perched delicately on top of her head. Xiao Fei knelt, closing her eyes as she concentrated, her chest beginning to glow with a radiant green light. 3 emeralds materialized above Xiao Ye's head, shimmering with magical energy. As the Jade Blessing took effect, Xiao Ye's demeanor shifted from fierce protection to calculated aggression. Her eyes locked onto the boss spider, her intent clear. Sensing the change, Xiao Fei quickly jumped off Xiao Ye's head and distanced herself, understanding the raw power that was about to be unleashed. Xiao Ye's flames grew more intense, the heat radiating off her body in waves. She opened her mouth, a piercing gaze fixed on her target, and let out a thunderous roar. Her fiery wings flapped with ferocity, channeling the second phase of her ability, burning all things. This ability allowed her to gather all the fire tornadoes she had previously created, combining them into a single, violent explosion. In the blink of an eye, a massive fire tornado swirled into existence, its searing winds crackling with destructive energy. The tornado hurtled towards the boss spider, which opened its mouth and screeched in defiance. The beast, determined not to remain idle, braced itself for the impact. However, the force of Xiao Ye's attack was overwhelming. The fire tornado collided with the spider, erupting in a powerful explosion that sent flames cascading in all directions. Jianing, standing a few meters away, instinctively shielded her face with her arm against the intense heat. She watched in awe as the flames consumed the area, her eyes wide with surprise. The sheer power of Xiao Ye's attack was staggering, and it didn't take long for Jianing to realize that the Jade Blessing had amplified the attack to an extraordinary degree. The flames roared with more than 10,000 points of strength behind them, a testament to Xiao Fei's enhancement. The once intimidating boss spider, now gravely injured by Xiao Ye's devastating attack, staggered and began to fall onto its back. Its mandibles opened wide, spewing out streams of purple blood that splattered across the cavern floor. The creature's screeches echoed through the darkened space, a cacophony of agony and desperation. Lu Fan, seeing the opportunity to deliver the final blow, called out to Jianing and Xiao Fei. Jianing, Xiao Fei, prepare for the final strike, he commanded, his voice filled with steely resolve. Jianing, slightly puzzled by the sudden order, turned her head back, her expression a mix of confusion and curiosity. What was Lu Fan planning? With a determined smile, Lu Fan drew his dagger, its blade gleaming ominously in the dim light of the cavern. He began advancing towards the struggling boss spider, his movements purposeful and swift. Let's end this, he said, a confident edge to his voice. Upon hearing this, Xiao Fei took to the air, her wings beating rhythmically as she followed closely behind him. Jianing, understanding the gravity of the moment, also began to advance. She drew her 3 swords, each one humming with energy, and readied herself for the final assault. As they moved closer, the boss spider's legs continued to burn in the flames ignited by Xiao Ye's earlier attack. The creature writhed in pain, its movements sluggish and disoriented. Sensing an opportunity, Lu Fan made a great leap, his form a blur of motion as he soared above the spider's head. Xiao Fei and Jianing followed suit, their own attacks poised and ready. The boss spider's attention, drawn by the sudden movement, shifted to Lu Fan, who now hovered ominously above its head. Despite its wounds and the relentless burning from Xiao Ye's flames, the spider attempted a feeble defense. But it was too late. Lu Fan, with his dagger gripped tightly in his hand, knew this was the moment to strike. The spider, now vulnerable and weakened, had no chance to escape. With a surge of energy, Lu Fan activated his skill, Dragon Fang Strike. This ability allowed him to channel potent dragon energy through his weapon, delivering a blow of immense power. As he descended, he felt the energy coursing through him, his dagger glowing with an ethereal light. He landed squarely on the spider's head, driving his dagger deep into its exoskeleton. The force of the blow was so intense that it sent shockwaves rippling through the ground, shattering it into pieces. The boss spider let out a final, anguished screech as its body convulsed from the impact. Purple blood gushed from its mouth, painting the ground in a gruesome display. Xiao Fei, flying gracefully behind Lu Fan, extended her hands toward Jianing. Her calm, serene expression betrayed the intensity of the power she was about to unleash. As her chest began to glow with a brilliant emerald light, the jade blessing manifested. In an instant, 3 gleaming emeralds appeared above Jianying's head, their radiant glow illuminating the cavern in a mystical light. Jianying crouched down, her gaze fixed intently on the beleaguered boss spider. With both hands extended toward the creature, she recognized that this was the perfect moment to strike. Meanwhile, Lu Fan, with his dagger firmly embedded in the spider's head, braced himself for the final blow. Empowered by the jade blessing, Jianying's 3 swords surged forward with unprecedented speed and precision. The blades, glinting ominously, pierced through the spider's gaping mouth and tore through its insides. The sound of ripping flesh and the spider's agonized screeches filled the cavern as the swords wreaked havoc within its body. In mere seconds, the once fearsome boss spider lost its life and collapsed to the ground with a resounding thud. Lu Fan, sensing the end of the battle, closed his eyes for a brief moment and smiled. With a graceful leap, he jumped from the spider's head and landed in front of Xiao Fei and Jianying. Xiao Yi, who had been in her fearsome dragon form, transformed back into her humanoid shape. Her fierce demeanor softened into a warm smile as she approached Lu Fan. Xiao Fei also descended gracefully, her wings folding neatly behind her as she joined them. As they gathered together, a series of system windows appeared before Lu Fan, displaying notifications of their achievements. Xiao Yi had leveled up to 18, Xiao Fei to 6, and Lu Fan himself had ascended to level 23. The intense fight had pushed Xiao Fei even further, and she leveled up once more, reaching level 7. Jianying approached the group, her curiosity piqued. She looked at Lu Fan, her eyes reflecting a mixture of admiration and inquisitiveness. Lu Fan, how many points did you obtain in the national major exam? She asked. Lu Fan turned to face her, his expression calm and composed. I obtained around 1.3 million points, he responded. Jianying's eyes widened in surprise, a drop of sweat trickling down her cheek. She couldn't help but express her astonishment. With your strength and skill, you could far exceed 1.3 million points, she said, her voice tinged with a mix of awe and confusion. Lu Fan's cheerful gaze met hers, and he smiled warmly. I couldn't do anything about it, he explained. The score limit on the highest nightmare difficulty is only 1.3 million. Hearing Lu Fan's response, Jianying could not refute his words. She simply listened quietly, absorbing the implications of his achievements. Lu Fan turned his back to Jianying and gazed up toward the top of the ravine. He made a signal to Qin Qiu and Tao Xiaoman, who were standing near the cliff's edge, silently instructing them to bring Han Jie down into the ravine. As they moved to follow his command, Xiao Fei approached Lu Fan. Her transformation into her new humanoid form had not only granted her new powers, but also a deeper sense of attachment to him. She closed her eyes and hugged him from behind, her embrace warm and affectionate. Seeing this, Xiao Yi couldn't help but feel a surge of jealousy and fury. Her eyes blazed with anger as she extended her hands, ready to separate Xiao Fei from Lu Fan. Oblivious to the brewing tension between his 2 dragon companions, Lu Fan began walking away, Xiao Fei clinging to him and Xiao Yi following closely, her expression stormy. Jianying watched them intently, her mind racing with thoughts. She realized that despite having earned half of Lu Fan's points in the national major exam, there was a significant disparity in their strength. This realization gnawed at her, making her feel both determined and frustrated. As Xiao Yi approached, her jealousy reached a boiling point. She grabbed Xiao Fei by the tail and began to pull hard, attempting to break her embrace with Lu Fan. Xiao Fei, surprised by the sudden aggression, let out a startled yelp but held on tighter. Lu Fan, caught between them, looked back in confusion, trying to understand the cause of the commotion. Jianying, observing the chaotic scene, couldn't help but draw another conclusion. In terms of skill and combat prowess, there was a vast chasm between her and Lu Fan, a gap that seemed insurmountable. Yet, this realization only fueled her determination to grow stronger. As the dust settled from the battle and the team regrouped, they reflected on their victory. Thanks to Han Jie's food bonus, which had provided them with much-needed strength and resilience, they had successfully navigated the forest of venomous spiders. This victory not only allowed everyone to level up, but also granted them valuable materials and rewards. Now that the boss spider was dead, a chest materialized at the spot where it once stood. The sight of the chest, its surface glimmering with anticipation, drew the group's attention. Tao Xiaoman, with a mix of excitement and caution, approached the chest. She knelt down and carefully opened it. As the lid creaked open, a sudden gust of light erupted from within the chest, illuminating the cavern with a brilliant, almost otherworldly glow. Tao Xiaoman extended her hands to the sides, her eyes widening in surprise and delight as she peered into the treasure chest. Nestled within were various pieces of equipment. She couldn't help but feel a surge of happiness. This gear seemed tailor-made for her fighting style, enhancing her abilities and fortifying her defenses. This is perfect for me, she stammered, her cheeks flushing with a mix of joy and embarrassment. Despite her elation, she felt a twinge of guilt for taking such a substantial reward. Meanwhile, Xiao Fei and Xiao Yi were locked in a friendly yet fierce competition, each vying for Lu Fan's attention. They clung to him tightly, their eyes reflecting playful jealousy. Lu Fan, feeling the tug-of-war between the two, closed his eyes briefly, a serene smile playing on his lips. Placing a gentle hand on Xiao Fei's head, he began to push her aside, trying to bring order to the chaos. Tao Xiaoman, don't feel embarrassed, Lu Fan said, his voice calm and reassuring. You've earned it. These rewards are meant for us to grow stronger together. Qin Xiu, standing a few steps behind them, observed the scene with a tinge of envy. Seeing Xiao Fei and Xiao Yi hug Lu Fan so openly stirred something within her. She quickly brushed the feeling aside, focusing on the joy of their collective achievement instead. With the treasure chest sorted and everyone's share allocated, the team began their journey towards the exit portal of the secret realm. The path was now clear, the menacing shadows of the poisonous spider secret realm behind them. As they stepped through the portal, they emerged back into the familiar grounds of Dragon City Academy. The sun was setting, casting a warm, golden hue over the academy. Jianing, who had maintained a cold and distant demeanor throughout their previous encounters, seemed to soften. She walked closer to the team, her expression no longer a mask of indifference. For the first time, she felt a sense of belonging, an unfamiliar yet comforting warmth spreading through her. Lu Fan noticed the change in Jianing. He couldn't shake the feeling that she had been in dire need of a team, a group of friends she could rely on. Perhaps it was the familiarity each team member brought, or maybe it was the unwavering camaraderie they had shown during their trials. Whatever the reason, Jianing had decided to join a fixed team, a decision that hinted at her growing trust in them. Qin Xiu, clutching her magic staff with both hands, approached Jianing with a bright smile. Jianing, can I have your phone number? She asked, her tone friendly and inviting. Jianing closed her eyes for a moment, then replied, I don't use a mobile phone. Tao Xiaoman, her hand resting on the hilt of her sword, turned towards Jianing. Her face lit up with a knowing smile. No worries, she said warmly. Next time we plan to explore a secret realm, we'll come to your place to fetch you. Lu Fan and Hanjia, standing a little way behind, exchanged a glance and smiled. They watched the scene unfold with a sense of satisfaction. To celebrate the successful formation of their team, the group headed to Lu Fan's mansion. Inside, the atmosphere was warm and inviting, a perfect setting for a celebratory dinner prepared by Lu Fan's aunt, Hanjia. As everyone settled around the dining table, the aroma of Hanjia's culinary masterpieces filled the room. The table was adorned with a variety of dishes, each one more appetizing than the last. Hanjia, her smile radiant with pride, brought out 2 more steaming dishes. She placed them on the table and closed her eyes momentarily, her smile widening. Eat quickly, everyone, she said with a hint of mischief in her voice. These dishes will boost your stamina. Jianing, seated beside Lu Fan, glanced around the table, taking in the sight of the girls who lived with him. She couldn't shake a feeling of confusion and mild irritation. She hesitated for a moment before voicing her thoughts. All these girls really live with you, Lu Fan? She asked, her tone laced with incredulity. You're such a pervert. Lu Fan's face flushed with a mix of embarrassment and frustration. He turned to her, his eyes wide in protest. Jianing, it was all a misunderstanding, he shouted, his voice echoing slightly in the grand dining hall. Qin Xiu and Tao Xiaoman exchanged amused glances. They couldn't help but giggle at the exchange, finding the situation more entertaining than awkward. Next to the table, Xiao Yi lay flat on the floor, her belly distended from eating far too much. She let out a contented burp, causing everyone to chuckle. Beside her, Xiao Fei was curled up, sleeping peacefully, the excitement of the day having worn her out. Tonight, Hanjia had outdone herself. The dishes were nothing short of spectacular, each bite a delightful explosion of flavor that everyone savored. The combination of rich, savory dishes and lighter, refreshing plates had conquered everyone's palate. In the days that followed, Lu Fan and his friends settled into a comfortable routine at Dragon City Academy. From time to time, they ventured back into the forest of poisonous spiders' secret realm to level up and hone their skills. During these expeditions, Xiao Yi and Lu Fan both reached level 24, their powers growing significantly. Xiao Fei, using her abilities with increasing frequency and precision, managed to reach level 13. A few weeks later, in the class of combat theory, the teacher posed a question to the students. It was a typical day, the classroom buzzing with quiet chatter and the rustling of papers. The teacher's voice cut through the noise, directing a question at Tao Xiaoman. Tao Xiaoman, can you answer the question? Tao Xiaoman stood up, her face a picture of uncertainty. She scratched her head, her mind racing but coming up blank. I've forgotten it, she admitted, her voice filled with embarrassment. Qin Xiao, seated next to her, put her hand in front of her mouth, trying to stifle her laughter. Her eyes sparkled with amusement as she watched her friend struggle. Lu Fan, who was sitting behind them with his head resting on his hand, couldn't help but smile at the scene. More than half a month had passed since the team joined Dragon City Academy. During this time, they had grown closer and more powerful, thanks to their relentless training and adventures. 2 days before the freshman assessment for the new students, they decided to venture once more into the secret realm. The air was thick with tension as they entered the familiar territory. The landscape was dotted with treacherous obstacles and lurking dangers. They moved with a sense of purpose, their previous experiences lending them confidence and skill. Xiao Yi and Lu Fan moved in perfect synchronization, leaping into the air with a grace that belied their strength. They extended their hands towards the sky, channeling their energy into a devastating attack aimed at the boss spider. The resulting explosion was so powerful that it shattered the spider's body into pieces, leaving a cloud of dust and debris in its wake. Xiao Fei flew above them, her jade scales gleaming in the dim light of the secret realm. Lu Fan landed gracefully on the ground, cupping his hands around his mouth to shout the good news to the others. The boss is dead. Tao Xiaoman, come quickly and open the chest, he called out, his voice echoing through the cavern. Xiao Yi, hovering beside him, looked at the remains of the boss spider and smiled. Her eyes gleamed with satisfaction, a rare display of emotion for the usually stoic dragon. System windows began to appear before Lu Fan's eyes, notifying him of their progress. Xiao Fei had leveled up to 14, Xiao Yi to 19, and Lu Fan himself had reached level 25. Each notification was a testament to their hard work and determination. Meanwhile, Qin Xiao was helping Han Jie make her way towards Lu Fan. Despite her strength and resilience, Han Jie still found the gruesome scenes of battle difficult to bear. Her nephew's achievements brought her immense pride, but she preferred the safety and comfort of her culinary domain. Tao Xiaoman, with her sword clutched in one hand, clenched her fist with the other and sprinted towards the chest. Her face was lit up with a bright smile as she called out, "I'm coming, Lu Fan." Not only did Lu Fan and the dragons level up, but Tao Xiaoman also reached level 22. Qin Xiao, with her mastery of the holy light, had also leveled up to 22, and even Han Jie, who usually shied away from combat, had leveled up to 18. Lu Fan let out a sigh, his mind already racing with thoughts of their next steps. Originally, he had planned to level Xiao Yi up to 20 and Xiao Fei up to 15 before the evaluation, but now it seemed that plan had fallen short. Nevertheless, their progress was nothing to scoff at. The team stood victorious amidst the remnants of their latest battle, the shattered pieces of the boss spider scattered around them. Xiao Yi and Xiao Fei circled above, their wings beating rhythmically as they descended gracefully to the ground. Lu Fan, with his hand resting confidently on his waist, turned his attention to Tao Xiaoman. Her eyes sparkled with anticipation as she approached the chest that materialized after their victory. She knelt down, carefully opening it, and her breath caught in her throat. Inside the chest, gleaming pieces of armor lay nestled, each piece radiating a faint, ominous glow. The sight of the armor sent a thrill of excitement through Tao Xiaoman. She quickly equipped the pieces, feeling the surge of power they bestowed upon her. As she stood up, clad in the venomous spider set, she couldn't help but dance with joy. It had taken her a month of relentless effort and countless battles, but she had finally gathered the complete set exclusive to her combat style. The armor, known as the venomous spider set, was of rare quality and required a level of 20 to be equipped. The set had a unique effect. With 2 pieces, her attacks had a chance to shoot a black web that immobilized targets for 60 seconds. With all 4 pieces, the set's power increased, adding a poison effect that reduced the immobilized target's life by 5% every 5 seconds. While Tao Xiaoman reveled in her newfound strength, 2 system windows appeared before Lu Fan, notifying him of their progress. Jin Ying's cold water sword had leveled up to 24, matching her own level. Her cold demeanor softened as she approached Lu Fan, a rare smile gracing her lips. With one hand resting on her waist and the other extended towards him, she explained that her weapon had finally caught up to her. Meanwhile, Han Jia closed her eyes, turned her head back, and with a smile, told everyone that it was time to go home. The sun was still high, casting a golden hue over the landscape. She could already envision the comforting aroma of a home-cooked meal filling the house. "It's still early," she added, her voice warm and inviting, "so I'll prepare dinner." Qin Xiu, holding her magic staff with both hands, mirrored Han Jia's serene demeanor. With a pleasant smile, she explained that there was no longer any need to return to this secret realm now that Tao Xiaoman had obtained the spider armor set. "We've achieved our goal," she said, her eyes gleaming with satisfaction. Lu Fan, his hands casually resting in his pants pockets, began to approach them. A cheerful smile spread across his face as he joined the conversation. "Tomorrow is the freshman assessment event," he reminded them, his tone filled with enthusiasm. "We should rest well and prepare for the evaluation." Tao Xiaoman, brimming with excitement, raised her fist into the sky. "Agreed!" she exclaimed, her joyful smile infectious. Several seconds later, the team exited the portal. Lu Fan was the first to step out, feeling the cool breeze of the real world wash over him. At that moment, Professor Gu Han appeared. Her presence was as commanding as ever, yet she wore a gentle smile as she approached Lu Fan. "Lu Fan," she called, gesturing for him to come closer. "I need a moment of your time." Jianing exited second, her mind seemingly elsewhere. She did not bother to stop, instead heading straight towards her dorm. Her steps were purposeful, her thoughts likely already drifting to her preparations for the next day. When Lu Fan stepped out completely through the portal, Professor Gu Han put one hand on her waist and extended the other hand to one side. She closed her eyes for a moment, then opened them with a look of mild amusement. "It wasn't actually me who was looking for you," she explained, her voice carrying a hint of mystery. "The deputy director of Dragon City Academy wants to meet you." Lu Fan's eyebrows furrowed in confusion. "Vice Director Zhao Shanming?" he asked, trying to piece together the puzzle. What could he want to discuss with me just before the freshman assessment? In the upcoming episode, discover the pivotal conversation awaiting Lu Fan with Vice Director Zhao Shanming of Dragon City Academy. What does Zhao Shanming want to discuss, and how will it shape the future for Lu Fan?